Hello everyone, what's going on? I'm Gav, the Master974, back again today doing another Source Shorts video after a little bit of a break. Sorry for taking so long to get around to making another video. But today I've got a suggestion from Computing Glasses, who wanted to know if it was possible to add a sort of flash grenade, concussion grenade into a Source mod. Now I can imagine in Source 2013 single player mods this would be more useful as a grenade for the NPCs to use against the player. But I think definitely this is a sort of grenade you would want in Source 2013 multiplayer mods because of the way this is going to be implemented. Now they pointed out this guide to me, I believe, which is making a concussion grenade from the Valve developer wiki, and there's some minor issues with it. So what I'm going to do is pretty much go over how you can go about adding this and do a sort of simple way by utilizing the grenade code that already exists in Source 2013. Now, if you go down under the source files, not inside of, HL2DLL or anything, just the actual source files, you can actually see there's some sort of stock grenade stuff. For example, contact grenades, timed grenades, and concussion grenades. Now, the thing is, you can't really use any of these grenades because the sort of base grenade concussion, as you can see here, exists inside of a .cpp file. Basically, what this means is you cannot call upon the C-base grenade concussion class unless this goes inside of a .h file. So that is not very good, but as I said, I'm going to be utilizing the grenade code that already exists just for the sake of keeping this short, because this is meant to be a short series of videos, right? So the first thing that you're going to need to do inside of the cGrenadeFrag class, inside of grenadefrag.cpp, is you want to add a void function and call it detonate. And you also want to make sure that it passes through void inputs. And then somewhere in the file, I'm going to put it down here, basically above this of hash if defined hr2 episodic and 0 section. But this is going to be what is from the guide here. So what I'm going to have to do is pretty much, I'm going to copy all of this from update 2. And I'm going to add in the stuff that needs to be added above it. Now, of course, cGrenadeConc is not going to be recognized, so you need to change that to frag. And there's a couple of other issues that I'm going to get to. But we also need a couple of the hashtag defines as well to make it work fully. So I just need to copy those, and you can paste those above like so. So if I put the guide off to one side, and there's actually this last little bit as well, might as well copy and paste all of that as well into the section which says that if tr.fraction, which is actually down here, I need to copy, paste, replace that. So this guide on the Valve developer wiki has some issues. If the big glaring red boxes wasn't a big enough sign to say there's issues with this guide. So what issues are there? Well, first off, you can see that there's this and LT semicolon here. Now you might think, well, what's LT? What the hell is that supposed to do? Is that part of the for loop? No, it's not. It's supposed to be the less than symbol, as I type in a comma instead. I think in the guide it was trying to put the less than symbol in, and somehow there's a formatting error. So you just want to replace that and LT with just a, less than sign like that. And also when you get down to the util trace line, it does the same sort of thing with this and amp. That is actually just supposed to be the ampersand symbol like that, because that's how util trace line works. And it seems as if there's some missing semicolons over here, which should have been copied in, but they weren't. And also, because I'm in grenade frag, the engine sound is going to be undefined. So we need to go up to the very top of the file, and we need to do hashtag include of engine and iEngineSound.h, and that's going to alleviate that issue. So there's going to be even more issues because I've actually come up with some of the code on my own to try and fix this, because some of it doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. So the first little change that I decided to add was up top here. I decided to create a vector called start, and I simply set it to be this vector that you see in here, because this comes up a couple times inside of the actual code. The reason for this vector 0, 10, 0 is because the model of the grenade actually sort of affects the flash grenade effect. So we simply just take the get absolute origin, the position of the grenade, and just add a little bit of a displacement to it. I think it should be in the Z, not the Y, but I'm not going to mess around with that. And then any instance where you see get abs origin plus vector 0, 10, and 0, you just replace it with start. So you can go down here and right here, for example, you can replace that with start. And I might need to do this just to make it so it fits on the screen. And again, this get abs origin plus vector 10, 1, 0, 10, 0, sorry, that can be start as well. And let me just do that and do that. There we go. So all of the code basically fits so you can see it on the screen. That's what I'm doing there. So yeah, basically make your life a little bit easier. Just get this get abs origin vector 0, 10, 0 in a variable called start, and then just refer to start throughout the code. Okay, so that's like issue number 1, not that it's an issue. Second off, you can see that in the guide, they started with 400 units, but then for some reason, they just inexplicably decreased the amount to 350 units. Don't know what that's all about. Then we go into the for loop, so it iterates over all of the entities that exist in a 400 unit sphere from this grenade entity. And if the entity is a player, then we go into this condition where we, create a trace, do a trace from the origin of the entity to the start, which is basically the origin of the grenade. It uses mask player solid, so you can go through like greats, I think. So that's what it was said in the guide. Then there's no like filter entity, collision group none. Then the player is, the pointer to the player is this list I entity. For some reason, it uses distance squared instead of just distance. I don't know if that is meant to be like a optimization thing, but it might lead to some confusion, especially when you see this like 40,000 down here. That's only meant to be about 200 units or so. So just might be a bit confusing just dealing with the squared units, not just regular units. And this section is actually wrong. All you need to do is think of a number. For example, like this square root is just going to be the square root of whatever the distance squared is, which is basically just going to be the distance. So if you think of, say, 300 units here, you'd do 200 minus 300, which is minus 100 divided by 200, and that gives you minus a half for the ratio, which is meant to be between 0 and 1, which doesn't make any sense. So what I figured out using some of my mathematical skills is that you can actually replace this entire thing with something that I've written over here. And it's not going to make much sense for now, but I'll get to it in a little bit. So that's what you can do. Then the updates basically say about how you can make it so the ratio of the distance the player is from the grenade impacts the alpha of the fade, and also takes into account the time that the fade lasts for as well. Now, this is actually incorrect as well, because basically, as it says for tr.fraction, that 1.0 means it didn't hit anything, so you just want to replace it with does not equal 1.0f. That way, if we hit something, then we actually go into the code. And the thing that I copy-pasted, the last thing, was that if the grenade is in the view cone of the player, then we cause a flash to happen. This bit also doesn't make sense because, from my understanding, this is always going to be 0, which means it's always going to go into this random number down here. So it creates a number that's either 32, 33, or 34, and it never actually enters this condition ever. So you could probably tie this 0 to a convar that is related to the ringing sound of explosions. But we could also just create another random int, but this time just go from 0 to 1. And then, it If it's 0, then it goes to 32, 33, 34. But if it's 1, then it goes to 35, 36, 37. And this engine sound arrow set player DSP plays this sort of, ducking sound when there's an explosion, or the ringing sound. So that's all that's really going on there. So you can save at this point. You should be able to build without any issues. And a consequence of following one of the later steps is that one of the macros that we defined earlier isn't actually going to be used, which is this fade hold time. And also you can kind of see that we have a fall off time of 20 seconds, which, if you ask me, that is pretty ridiculous. I'm just going to reduce that to about 5 seconds instead. And so we can basically build a solution, go into a map and do some testing. Now, this is going to be, very rough, I would say, just on the testing side of things. As I said, we're using the frag grenade for this. So normally, I guess you would have your own grenade, call it grenade flash or something, and then associate a weapon called weapon flash with it, and then go on from there. Now, what map do I have? I don't actually have a good map, but SDK vehicles would do. And I need to make sure that you guys can actually see the capture, because I know that this is going to be a... Why is it looking like that? I don't know. OBS updated, and for some reason it's caused all the scenes in like my OBS to get screwed up, and I don't know why. A bit weird. Anyway, I might as well just disable the display capture as well, just so you can see everything. Anyway, wasting time. Let's chuck a grenade, stay a bit away from it, and bang! We get flashed. And you see the slow fade of it. And the further away we are, the less intense the flash becomes. If we're really far away from it, it doesn't affect us. And if we get pretty close to it, then our screen goes completely white and it stays white for a little bit of time. So that is the basics of the flash grenade. Now, there's a couple of things that I noticed with this, and that's what I'm going to go into now, with just some further fixes, some minor last minute detail things. And so this is where I'm going to pretty much just copy and paste everything that I worked on. And so that's what's going to be going on here. So again, you might notice nothing's really changed. I've kept it pretty much exactly as it was before, except this time you can see that I've added this section because there's actually some instances where the grenade was actually sort of causing a flash effect, even though you was outside of the 400 unit radius. Don't know why that's going on, but because we create this distance squared variable down here, we can check to see if we're greater than 400 squared or 160,000 and break out of this for loop if that's true. And then, as mentioned earlier, you can create this sort of, variable for the ratio instead when it's greater than 200. So anywhere between 200 and 400 units, it's going to be a number between 1 and 0. And I can show some graphs that I did in Python at this point. So you can see some of the sort of power law drop-offs that you can have. So for example, the one from the guide, when corrected, is a simple linear relationship, but you can add some sort of non-linear quadratic or cubic kind of dependence on however you want to make it happen. And so to do that, you need to use pow, and that just means power. So this here is everything that is like the base, and then this is the power that you raise it to. I find that the squared, the power of 2 makes it look like a nice fall off. And I would also have shown some of the different, things that you could do with this ratio. This message doesn't really matter so much. It just prints the distance, the square, the distance, and the ratio. Again, we're incorporating the alpha of the sort of fade and multiply the ratio into that alpha. And again, make sure you don't have that equal to 1.0f. And also there's that random int that I talked about earlier. And then also make sure at the end of the detonate function, you add base class : detonate. So that way you actually blow up the grenade and it does everything that it's supposed to. So with this taken into account, you can pretty much, again, just go into debugging. make sure that everything loads up as it's supposed to, and then you can just you know, see the flash grenade happen in action. So again, load up the game. It should be exactly the same as what I did last time, because I still used like the quadratic fall off for the ratio between 200 and 400 units, and then just you know, mess around with it, see all the different sort of effects. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to test as well is that if you throw a grenade and don't look at it, even though I got hurt by it because I was close to it, I didn't look at it, so it didn't cause a screen flash. And you can just mess around with this, mess around with the ratio and the fall off and all that. Closer you get, the worse the flash is. Lasts for quite a long time if you ask me, maybe a little too long. And I think with that, this video has been going on for too long as well. Sorry for going on for so long. This was meant to be a short video and I've gone for like 17 minutes already, so I apologise for that profusely. But let me know what you think about this flash grenade tutorial as per usual. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Like, comment, share and subscribe and all that. And maybe when I upload this code onto the GitHub at some point in the future, I'll actually make this flash grenade its own grenade code and own weapon code and all that stuff. I need to get out of here because I'm nearly like choking for no reason. So yeah, take care out there, peace out, see you later, have a great day, and see you for next video.